Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. My name is Chong. I'm the author of Sage Sapien, From Karma to Dharma, and I'm also a spiritual guide. In this video, we will be talking about what spirituality is and why it is important to develop yourself spiritually in order to be successful. We all know that on some level, that money doesn't buy us happiness. We know this intellectually, but we don't all know this on a deep, energetic level. We also know that the quest for experiences of higher purpose, destiny, or fulfillment is for sure on the forefront of what truly successful people value, more so than the material things in life. So, what is spirituality, and is it something that we can cultivate? Now, spirituality doesn't carry the dogma of religion. It may carry the essence of religion, but in the end, it's really about you carving your own path forward into what rings true for you. It's about you discovering your own authentic truth versus relying on what others have to say about the matter. The word spirit actually comes from the Latin spiritus, meaning breath of life. Spirituality begins with the awareness of our breath. Research shows that the speed of the breath is directly related to the speed of our thoughts, the quality of our emotions, and the quality of your immune system and various other systems in your body, like optimally balancing the hormones is affected by that. So when you're in yoga, meditation, or in a Tai Chi class and your teacher's asking you to focus on your breath, you are in fact starting a spiritual practice by simply becoming aware. It doesn't mean that it's perfect right off the bat. Your breath might not be even-tempered and calm. It might just be chaotic and messy at the start. Awareness is not about manipulating the truth. It is about the witnessing of what is unfolding in the current moment. The more you become aware of how you are breathing, the more you become aware of the kinds of stories or conditioned patterns you operate from. And the more you become aware about what stories you operate from, the clearer you are about what changes you need to make in yourself and in your relationships. I once was working with a client who was going through a rough patch in her relationship with her partner. The two of them were not seeing eye to eye, and each of them was hurting the other with their words and their actions. They were attempting a separation at the time, and there were all these fears around losing one another and hurting their children. Working with them, at the end of the day, what we uncovered was that they were operating from old stories of fears that they had accumulated as a child. Most of these behavior patterns were not even theirs per se. They stemmed from their parents and even their grandparents. The fear of not having enough, not being enough, never being loved, the fear of disappointing someone else, and the fear of failure was all programmed into their psyche. And because they were operating from a place of not falling into the trap of their imagined worst nightmare, they were wasting their energy on playing a tiring game of avoidance rather than making choices from their own sovereignty. Now, across the world, throughout many spiritual traditions, the spiritual path shares one common principle, and that is the principle of self-inquiry. The Christians ask how they can get into heaven. The Jews ask if they're fulfilling God's divine commandments through their actions. The Muslims ask if they are upholding both their duty to God and their duty to humanity. The Hindus ask if they are accumulating good karma. The Buddhists ask, what must they do to liberate themselves into nirvana? And the indigenous shamanic cultures of the world ask, how do I honor the earth and all of her beings and take care of her? Now, to the modern person living in a fast-paced life, the question we are asking ourselves is, how do I feel a sense of contentment and fulfillment in what I am doing with my life and the legacy that I'm leaving to my family, my community, and ultimately to the world? These questions are all rooted in the spiritual truths of all the traditions across the world. And if you are not asking deep and meaningful questions with the intention to discover something new about yourself, what are you doing then? What is it that is motivating your why, that gets you up every day? If you are choosing to think, speak, and act from a place of me and mine versus we and ours, how satisfying is that? So whether you are new to the spiritual path or you have been walking on the path for many years, it doesn't matter. The main question at the end of the day that applies to every single day of every single moment as long as you're alive is, who am I? Well, who do you want to be? Are you the accumulation of the subconscious and unconscious stories that were predetermined by the choices made by your family, by society? Or are you something more? I leave you to reflect and to inquire within that question. Who am I? Who are you? And who do you want to become?